To order this regular meeting of the Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Commission of September 26, 2018. A printed agenda is available outside the hearing room, and a copy of the full agenda, including the staff reports, is available at the front of the chambers with the clerk. The Open Meetings Act is posted just inside the doors at the back of the room. If you are parked in the parking garage across the street to the north, please be sure to pick up a parking coupon on your way out for free parking. Out of courtesy for those attending this meeting, the commissioners and the staff, cellular phone usage is not permitted in these chambers during any portion of this meeting. We will appreciate your cooperation. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held September 12th, 2018. Is there a motion?
So moved. Hove.
Second, Finnegan.
Please call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Finnegan?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hove?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Core?
Yes.
Shear?
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Next, we now have a special presentation for Commissioner Hove, who we would like to recognize at this time, as this is his final Planning Commission meeting after 7 years, he just said, told me. Chris, could you please go to the front of the podium? Thanks. And I would ask Jerry to read the resolution of appreciation for Commissioner Hove.
Okay. Resolution number PC 01617. Whereas Chris Hove was appointed to the City of Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Commission on November 14th, 2011, and reappointed on July 10th, 2017, contributing nearly 7 years of volunteer service to the Lincoln and Lancaster County community as a member of the City of Lincoln-Lancaster County Planning Commission. And whereas during his years of service, Mr. Hove contributed countless hours and diligent effort toward the adoption of periodic updates to the Lincoln-Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan and Long-Range Transportation Plan, updates to the county and city zoning codes, and reviewed over 1,284 development applications. Other projects and studies of major importance came before the Planning Commission during his terms include, but are not limited to, the Downtown Master Plan Update, Transit Development Plan, West Haymarket Arena Redevelopment Plan, University Place Planned Unit Development, Use Groups Zoning Ordinance Revision, new simplified process to create smaller acreage lots with open space preserved, long-range transportation plan major update, and comprehensive plan major update. Outdoor lighting standards update, large-scale wind energy projects, streamlining the process of subdivisions and waivers of design standards, and review of various watershed master plans and redevelopment plans, South Haymarket Neighborhood Plan, many reviews of proposals as a member of the Board of Zoning Appeals and Capital Improvement Program conformity reviews. And whereas the growth and development of Lincoln and Lancaster County has benefited greatly from the years of dedicated service of Mr. Hove, and whereas in recognition of nearly 7 years of loyal and dedicated service, it is the desire of the City of Lincoln Lancaster County Planning Commission to express their appreciation and gratitude, and to commend Chris Hove for his dedicated volunteer service, and to cause such expression of appreciation and gratitude to forever be made a part of the official records of the Planning Commission of the City of Lincoln, Lancaster County. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Lincoln, Lancaster County Planning Commission that the appreciation and gratitude of all are hereby extended to Chris Hove in recognition of his dedicated service, support, and contributions to the public planning process for the City of Lincoln and Lancaster County. Dated this 26th day of September, 2018.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we want to entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
And it's time for us to be able to discuss and have comments before we vote. Anyone want to say anything?
Yes, I do. Chris, when I came on to serve, you were really helpful. You comforted me when I was nervous about my very first vote, which I believe was Costco.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I'll miss you, Chris. It was a wonderful opportunity to get to know you. I'd heard your name for years, and it was wonderful. And I have enjoyed your calm manner through this whole thing. That's really, even in the heat of debate, you've been calm and rational, so thank you.
Thanks, Chris. It was really awesome, your words of leadership as I came on, so thank you.
Thanks.
And it's nice to share the love of Springer Spaniels with you.
Exactly.
And golden retrievers.
Yes, thank you for all of your service, Chris, and I will continue to see you on a regular basis, I'm sure, but as many of us will, but thank you very much.
Anyone else?
We're going to miss you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you also. You're great. I consider you a mentor because when I came on, you had already been on for a few years, and you've always been very well prepared, and I've appreciated that, and calm, as somebody else said, and just a great chairman for a couple of years. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody here. I just had a couple things I wanted to say. Thanks for the opportunity to serve. I appreciated that. It's been a great experience for the last 7 years. I've met a lot of wonderful people, including all the commissioners and the staff. I first want to thank my fellow commissioners. We're in great hands, and I feel very good about the direction. And when David asked me to stay on for an extra year, I said, yeah, it'll help move us on, and I think it has, but I think we're in very, very good hands. I want to thank, of course, the City Council and County Board for heeding our advice and listening to us. And I especially want to thank the planning staff. We've got a great group of people that are very, very committed to the City of Lincoln. They've got a great attitude of how can we make this work, and I think that's very important in a growing city like this. I've not always agreed with all of the commissioners, but I obviously respect your opinions, and I think you've respected mine, and I appreciate all your passion, because that's what it's all about. In past, I've been told that our opinion didn't matter because the decisions were ultimately decided by the City Council or the County Board, but I've also been told that both the County Board and the City Council follow our lead with our decisions, and sometimes we'll hide behind what we make. So I just encourage everybody here, always remember we each have our own opinion, and the bottom line is we represent the people and the interests of Lincoln and Lancaster County, and the future depends on us and the vision that we have. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We need to vote. So before we forget to vote,
I do have a motion on the resolution. Motion made by Joy, seconded by Finnegan. Is that correct?
Other way around.
Other way.
It was the other way
Okay,
around.
sorry. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
So please call the roll.
Okay, Beckius?
Yes.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Finnegan?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hove?
Yes.
Like,
Abstain.
Washington?
Yes.
Core?
Yes.
Share.
Yes.
And
Motion
Joy
carried.
is a yes.
No, did I skip you? I'm sorry, Joy. Okay, motion carried 8-0. Thank you.
And now David is going to present the plaque presentation.
Yes, thank you, David Carey with the Planning Department. That was unanimous, that's good, right? Chris, want to thank you personally, and then also on behalf of the department, and obviously the planning commissioners and the city council, the county board, and the mayor. I have a plaque for you. It's got a really nice medallion for City of Lincoln in Lancaster County, Nebraska. This says, Chris Hove, in appreciation of your commitment and service to the City of Lincoln, Lancaster County Planning Commission, November 2011 to September 2018, signed by the mayor. Just also want to really just reiterate what was said earlier, that your time and everybody's time, this is a volunteer basis. There's a lot of work that is involved. For 7 years you did that, and I really do appreciate it. And we will miss you. We will persevere and move on, and we will keep doing the work. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Applause.
I would,
Comments before we move on?
Thank you.
Yes.
thank you, Chris. I would note that there is a cake reception that will be held immediately following the regular hearing in the adjacent studio room to the west. Everyone is invited.
Okay, we'll now proceed with today's agenda. Please note that the Planning Commission action today is final on agenda item 1.3, Special 11013B. Any aggrieved person may appeal final action of the Planning Commission to the City Council or the County Board by filing a notice of appeal with the clerk within 14 days following the action of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission action on all other items is a recommendation to the City Council or County Board. The next item of business is a consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda will be called at the same time and will not be scheduled for a separate public hearing unless there is a request from someone wishing to speak or at the request of a commission member. I will ask Jerry to read all of the consent agenda items into the record, and once those items have been read, she will ask if there is anyone wishing to speak. If you wish to speak on an item on the consent agenda, we would ask that you stand and state that item, and then that item will be removed from the consent agenda and scheduled as a separate public hearing under Section 3 of today's agenda. All items remaining on the consent agenda will be voted upon in total with a motion for approval. Jerry, will you please call the items on the consent agenda?
Yes, thank you. Item 1.1 is text amendment 18009 to amend the Lincoln Municipal Code, section 27.72.110, exceptions to the height requirements in all zoning districts where private schools are allowed, whereby private school light poles may exceed the district height limit up to a height of 100 feet, and repealing section 27.72.110 of the Lincoln Municipal Code as hitherto existing. Item 1.2A is annexation 18006 to annex approximately 25.69 acres more or less on property generally located at South 70th Street and Yankee Hill Road, and the associated changes zone 04075H from AG to R3 PUD planned unit development to expand the existing planned unit development by approximately 25.69 acres more or less on property generally located at South 70th Street and Yankee Hill Road. And item 1.3 is special permit 11013B to an amendment to renew the special permit for soil excavation on property generally located at Northwest 63rd and West O Streets. This is final action on this special permit unless appealed to the City Council within 14 days of today's action. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on these consent agenda items?
Yes, Jerry, I have one. It's Commissioner Core. I was at the October Mayor's Roundtable meeting where the applicant for the text amendment 18009 briefed the attendees of their plan.
At the September or October?
October. No, September, you're right. Trying to hurry things along, I guess.
Thank you, I've noted.
Any others? No, I see no others.
Okay, is there anyone here wishing to speak on any of these consent agenda items? If so, please stand and state that item.
We'll entertain a motion then.
I move approval.
Second, Beckius.
Please call roll.
Okay, moved by Washington, seconded by Beckius. Beckius?
Yes.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Finnegan?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hove?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Core?
Yes.
Shear?
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
There are no requests for deferral, so we will now proceed to public hearings. The staff will make a brief presentation. The applicant will then be requested to present his or her testimony, followed by those who wish to testify in support, followed by those who wish to testify in opposition. If during your testimony you have copies of documents or materials you would like distributed to the Planning Commission members and or included as part of the record, please provide that information to Jerry for distribution. The staff will then be given an opportunity to respond to the testimony, and then the applicant shall have an opportunity for rebuttal. Each person testifying should state their name and address and shall have 5 minutes to speak unless additional time is requested and granted. The timer will go off after 4 minutes, then you will have 1 minute to wrap up your testimony. The Planning Commission will vote immediately at the close of the public hearing unless the Commission votes to defer action or continue the public hearing. Jerry, please call the first public hearing item.
Okay, item 4.1 is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 18015 to review the proposed Lancaster County Board and Bridge Construction Program fiscal year 2019 and 2020 to 2024 as to conformance with the 2040 Lincoln Lancaster County Comprehensive Plan. Staff recommendation is conformance with the comprehensive plan. Are there any ex parte communications to be disclosed on this item?
Yes, this morning I had a conversation with County Engineer Pam Dingman.
Thank you, noted.
Okay.
I'm Mike Paranzo with the Lincoln Lancaster Planning Department, and each year I bring this forward before Planning Commission for their review. What the report does is go over the entire road and bridge program for this fiscal year as 2019 and through 2024. So this is a proposed program that will go before the county board for funding. My review is simply to look at the document and the program in relationship to the comprehensive plan and review it for conformity. Like Jerry said, my recommendation is this year that it is in conformance. What this plan does is working within the framework of the Lincoln Lancaster County or the Long Range Transportation Plan. And there are no major projects brewing in this plan like last year, but it does focus on system maintenance and preservation. So most of the projects you'll see in here are for maintain the existing system. And that's where you'll see the projects that are listed as second stage pavement, which is rehabbing or overlaying existing pavement in the county. It doesn't go into the detail of maintaining gravel roads or other types of facilities, except for bridges. Bridges is very focused on bridges, and the program does look at a number of bridges in the system. Matter of fact, it's undertaking engineering for several bridges on North 14th Street. And that's something that the county engineer wants to move ahead as soon as there's funding to improve. The engineering prepares them for that next stage, which is actual construction. There are no new pavement projects in this plan. There was one last year. In the 2019, there are no new pavement being advanced. There are several that we call second standby type projects. So if funding would become available, those would be advanced into the first year of the program. But of course, that's subject to funding. Looks like there are approximately 8 miles of standby projects, though unlikely that funding will come forward for all those, but there's always hope one of them will move. And you'll find that other than the engineering on the North 14th, we have a few bridges that are being repaired, such as last year, I think there were 8 new box culverts and 3 scour improvements. So very expensive and very important projects. This year, we don't have major projects in terms of bridge replacement, but we do have several maintenance projects that are listed in the program on page 7. I'm here to answer questions, and as well, County Engineer Pam Dingman's here to answer questions, anything else you need follow-up on, we can handle that too.
Questions?
Oh, just to clarify the record, my conversation this morning with Pam Dingman was to understand an engineering improvement scheduled for 2019. It was Southwest 2nd at West Stagecoach Road. It was listed both as Southwest 12th and Southwest 2nd. I wanted to make certain I understood the location of that project.
And we have graphics.
We do have graphics, and she clarified that it was Southwest 2nd,
Okay.
not
Yes.
12th.
I think that's more for you.
Yeah, if I could just speak a little bit to the overall program. I think the thing, Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer, 444 Cherry Creek Drive, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68528. I think there's always some confusion about the 1 in 6, and it's an unfortunate confusion. And that's that by state statute, I am required to limit what I put in the plan by the dollars that have been allocated to me, and then take that dollar amount from the first year and project it forward in years 2 through 6. It by no means is an explanation of the need in the county. And the needs have become more than critical. As I said to Ms. Washington this morning, I believe I construct I am the leader of an emergency room for infrastructure. And on any given day, we're never really sure what's going to happen, from closing scour critical bridges to emergency closures of road because the asphalt has spontaneously disintegrated on a very hot day. We remain about 28 miles in asphalt overlay. I've reversed my numbers. About 72 miles behind in asphalt overlay of our overall system. We're about 28 miles behind in new pavement. And, I bring to you today a program that has no new pavement. In addition to that, of our just a little over 300 bridges, we have 76 that are bad. We have 2 that are under 30 on a 100-point sufficiency scale. Under 30. One of them, which is now a major detour for Highway 79. And so I do hope to be able to replace that bridge next year. It is Bridge C91, just for a bit of a feel for how far behind we are in the financing of our program. Bridge C91 has been in the 1 in 6 program since 1998. So, the reason the things that are happening to us are happening is because we just have not kept up with the need. So, during this last year, we have spent a considerable amount of time having an infrastructure task force. The task force wrapped up last week. They haven't issued their final report yet. I don't think it will be a surprise to anyone that the task force has said that the funding shortfall for county engineering for critical bridges alone is $9 million a year. And that if you're to look at funding critical bridges and roadway needs, is a shortfall of $15 million a year. So these are significant findings. So with the task force, when asked, where would you like the focus to be on the dollars we have, members of the task force indicated on system reliability. And so if I could switch to the laptop. So when I looked at system reliability, what I thought we may have less needs if we focus mainly on the reliability of the pavement. And as you may or may not be aware, 18 months ago, we discovered 3 small buried bridges underneath 140H Street, and they'd had box culverts stuck on the end of them. Each of them had a 6 to 8 foot scour hole underneath them. And of course, when I talked to Department of Roads and Federal Highways about it, the decision was made that the bridges, that they must be closed until we could determine a better solution. We were fortunate to have a really awesome engineering college here in Lincoln who was studying bridges and went out and did a finite element analysis of this bridge, and I was able to keep them open under waiver until we could replace them. But the replacement of these small bridges with box culverts actually shut down 148th Street for 6 to 8 weeks each time we constructed one, which diverted thousands of cars onto our gravel roads. And it was really quite a crisis for the community in the Waverly area. It caused economic problems. It caused problems with routes to school, as well as a number of other issues. And so we drilled back and we really said, okay, from this point on forward, we need to focus our bridge dollars on our paved routes. And I have to tell you that I really hoped that that would mean there was less issues. So once we mapped bridges on our paved routes that were in critical or substandard conditions, I kind of had this holy North 14th Street moment, which is never a good place to be as an engineer. So holy North 14th Street, you may notice on the map, bridge F88 with 3,700 cars a day is a bridge. It's about 140 feet long. It's over critical saline wetland habitat. And we're fortunate enough to have a design. We actually even had it environmentally permitted at one time, and we didn't have the money. So we're trying to get our permits reissued so that we can do improvements by replacing this bridge. But in addition to that, south of this bridge, we have F86, F82, and F78, which are all WPA era spread footing bridges. And these are the type of bridges that once the soil washes out from underneath the footings, they have to be closed. There's no other option. The sad thing about these bridges is that we're really going now through a lifetime of lack of funding for engineering. So in the 70s, the county engineer, in order to try to stretch his dollars, actually took these 1930 structures, which aren't the best, and he redecked them. And so he put a new bridge deck on them and kind of made them a little taller, which was really probably the intent was to get us by for 20 years. And now we're more than 40 years later. And now I have 4 bridge structures that are bad in about 3 miles on North 14th Street, which is a major corridor in our county. And so that's why you're seeing those, the engineering for those added into the 1 and 6. We're also looking at coming back and really trying to figure out how do we get those bridges open. And so if I was to look, our major issue in Lancaster County is scour critical bridges. There are no surprises to the scour critical bridges, which I have closed. They have all been on the scour critical list. We have 24 that are defined by the Federal Highway Department and NDOT. We have another 17 that we call susceptible in Lancaster County because they're a similar construction year or construction type to the bridges that are already on the list. And so this is a copy of that map. You may notice closures marked throughout the map. You may also be aware that anytime it rains more than 4 inches on a running 7-day period, we run out and we do a complete bridge inspection of these because they're so critical. That's required by the Federal Highway Department, or anytime for some reason that the creek was full bank to bank for more than 4 hours. It's a significant part of the labor in my department. We were actually able to figure out how to harvest rainfall data and superimpose it on the map so that we could reduce the number of inspections with actual documented data. Which has saved us about $50,000 in labor a year and enables us to get out to the most critical structures that have had the most rainfall first in a prioritized system. And so that's something that we are doing for the public. Overall, the plan is sad to me because it simply comes nowhere near meeting the needs for our constituents in our community. In particular, our rural farmers and the people who live in our communities. If I could talk just one more minute about Southwest 2nd Street and maybe flip back to the overhead. I'll straighten it out because, you know, as engineers, we like everything to be square. So Southwest 2nd Street is actually an NCRS dam in partnership with the Lower Platte Natural Resources District. This dam structure is being rebuilt, the dam is being dredged, and the outlet pipes are being changed out. But when this structure was originally constructed in the 1960s, you can see where the road should meet in a perpendicular way, and they just kind of threw the road in there as a dogleg at the toe of the slope of the dam. And so it doesn't meet the curves the way that it should. It is not a safe intersection. These are not safe movements for modern roads. So when they rebuild the dam embankment, we're going to put that road back in there the way it should be. And when I say we are, you may notice in the 1 and 6 plan that there is a $0 amount. So in reality, that will be constructed as part of the dam project to make it correct. And so with that, if there's any more questions in regards to how we're approaching infrastructure in Lancaster County and where I think we're going to go in the future, I would be happy to take those.
Questions for Mike or Pam? Chris?
It appears like 148th Street is being utilized as kind of the, by default, the East Beltway. And, you know, that creates issues that you've already talked about. Is there any opportunity for federal funding or any type of federal dollars to support this? Because, I mean, we're seeing more and more semis and, you know, uses beyond Lancaster County, as an example, at 140.
Those dollars do go through the Nebraska Department of Transportation, and they are minimal at best. So to compete for those dollars is very difficult. And I don't think there's nearly enough to do that, a project like that.
So as we look at 148th Street, we recently did a kind of a three-part study on it. The first part was a safety study on the corridor from Old Cheney to Amberley Road within the city of Waverly. So safety, operations study to figure out what else was needed from an operations standpoint, and then systemic. Where is this going? Where does it need to be? And having just constructed 3 new box culverts that I believe are constructed in a way that we can add shoulders to 148th Street someday, and I was very excited about that. I was a little surprised, although maybe I shouldn't have been, to note that the consultant recommended that 148th Street prior to 2040 would meet the traffic warrants for a 4-lane divide. So, I mean, I think that is significant. It's significant to the growth in the area. It's significant to what we've seen for the growth in the area and what I think we'll continue to see. It is really the de facto East Beltway at this time. I have on my list to have a discussion with Department of Roads. You may recall that doing the preliminary planning for the East Beltway was in their current 10-year plan for the Build Nebraska Act. And so hopefully we can get started on that. But this corridor, it remains a concern. The same can be said with the 68th Street corridor from Saltillo all the way down to Firth Road. And so improvements needed prior to 2040 for just those corridors recommended by the consultant were over $40 million. That's significant since there are $0 directed to paving at this time.
Pam, and Mike, how do we, besides in our questions and our comments today, how do we get more money for bridges and roads?
I think that's a question that needs to be directed to the county board, county commissioners. They're the ones who set the budget. Matter of fact, the budget is lower this year for the 1 and 6 than it was last year. Evidently, there's other priorities that they see are more important. Of course, being involved in transportation, we see transportation more important. But that's a matter of what the county commissioners see fit. Pam does try to use federal dollars whenever she can, whenever they're available. She prepares projects so they're shelf ready, so that they can take advantage of funds when they do become available. Unfortunately, the long-range plan doesn't tie projects to a funding program. It just prioritizes them. The funding program is an annual activity. So that's not a lot of hope there, but it is. Pam does a lot of work to bring that up for discussion wherever she's at.
This is a true story.
Yeah. I know it would be. It's easy for us up here to make comments and suggestions because we're sitting a little bit removed. But as a follow-up to Chris's question about federal funding, it seems like there's such a critical need here. It has such an economic impact on our community. I'm wondering if we've ever applied for Tiger funding, and I think it's Build now, not Tiger, but a Tiger project funding.
right, it might be, it has a different acronym now, and I'm
Build,
not,
yeah.
is it Build? I thought it was a different one than that even, but, so, you know, the South Beltway did get Tiger funding, and so as it goes around, I believe it's by a state basis, and I don't know if we're available, how it would be available to me as a county.
I don't think that the classification of the county roads would rise to that level. And plus, it's a very competitive program.
Yes, it is.
And usually larger communities have a better opportunity to gain those funds.
And I'm going to be quite frank with you. I mean, the Director of Transportation, Elaine Chow, has said for small communities that self-help is an answer.
Okay.
Self-help. And so I think the answer is, how do we help ourselves? And so anyone who's willing to go out and maybe, I don't know, dig some roads with me or something, we can help ourselves. It's great exercise.
That's what she meant, but okay.
I don't think it's what she meant, but it's probably where we're at right now.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thanks. Do we have testimony
Do you have a program?
in support? Do we have testimony in opposition? Do we have any other staff questions? No. Okay. Then I think we're ready to entertain a motion.
Move conformance to the comprehensive plan.
Second, Hove.
Discussion?
Just briefly, it's always kind of strange to move conformance of something that doesn't meet the goals of the comprehensive plan, but of course these efforts do conform because they address the need, but it's clearly not enough. And I thank Ms. Dingman for her testimony. I think it was clear from the staff report the discrepancy in the funding versus the need, but the emergency room comment really brought it home. And I've served for nearly 5 years on this commission, and I think every year the whistle is being blown that we need more funding for our infrastructure. And I'm not a politician. I don't know how we get there, but we obviously need to get there somehow.
Others?
I want to thank County Engineer Pam and Mike for their work. I know that it's tough deciding and prioritizing needs. I am a little appalled that instead of putting more money towards the problem, we're shrinking the budget, and that concerns me a little bit. So I'm hoping that the county board and the powers that be will take appropriate action and hopefully see that this is important.
I'm impressed with the amount of work that goes into this area, and I'm impressed with how they can manage, both of you can manage the priorities, the needs of our county with the limited funding that we have. I really appreciate all your efforts, and even if it means digging a little bit, I really appreciate what Pam does. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'm impressed with the detail that you guys bring to each one of these moments, and I think that because of that detail, and as Sandra said, the work, the case is made every year. I've been a planning commissioner, I think about the same amount of time you have, and we do this every year, the same thing. We have the same discussion, same comments, and it's unfortunate, but maybe one of these years we can improve the situation. I think we're ready to vote.
Okay, the finding of conformance, motion made by Harris, seconded by Hope.
Yes.
Edgerton?
Yes.
Finnegan?
Yes.
Harris?
Yes.
Hove?
Yes.
Joy?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Core?
Yes.
Shear.
Yes.
Motion carried 9-0.
Okay. At this time, anyone wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so. And if not, we are adjourned. Thank you.